Thank you for ladies and gentlemen for tuning into our show. We're temporarily calling it the Three Crypto Amigos. I am Chris Rice Crypto. We are joined by Rob Harris and Joel Koskoff, aka Coach K. Check out all of our own individual YouTube channels. We are three different content creators who come together to bring our three different perspectives on different topics that we're going to be discussing weekly. We encourage you in the comment section to mention things that you might want us to bring up and talk about. We've done 2 previous episodes you could check out. The first one was just me and Rob Harris, and the second one was the 3 of us. So thank you for tuning in. I'm Chris Rice Crypto. I'll let the other guys say, hey, what's going on, fellas?
How's it going, everyone? Coach K, better known as Joel, better known as Coach K, and crypto educator, advisor, do lots of stuff in the space. I'm really happy to be here and give you guys some new perspectives, or maybe your first perspectives on some different topics. And I'll pass it over to Rob.
Yep, same thing. Glad to be here. Been doing involved in cryptocurrency since 2013, and the last couple of years been making, the last 2 years been making educational content, presentations, and just try and teach people how to get started in this cryptocurrency space. And anyways, looking forward to this video. We're going to talk about some current news, and I think we're going to start with the Facebook coin, right?
Yeah, the Facebook Libra seems to be the thing that everybody's talking about, that probably everybody's tired of hearing about. But we wanted to discuss this just because we wanted to bring up some things that some people haven't been bringing up, and we wanted to throw our 3 Satoshis into it as well. So,
and I think we talked about it a little bit a week ago, but now that it's out, I'm sure we probably have a different take or perspective. And what are your guys' thoughts as of right now?
There's obviously been more news released, so I agree. There's, what we were talking about was what we had available to us and what we were kind of speculating. So now we have more information. It's not solid, but so I assume that, once we get some more information, we'll do another show and it'll be part of the topic as well. But now that we've gotten some more information, there's a lot, I think, for us to be able to go over, discuss, and bring our own, point of view into this thing. So what are you guys thinking about this? Because they made that announcement a couple of days ago. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday. At least for me, it was yesterday. It might have been your morning. I'm not sure, but yeah, that was you get this white paper come out, and it's interesting. It's like we're centralized, but we kind of want to be decentralized, but we're kind of still probably going to sell your data, and we're going to know everything you buy, and we're going to know everything you do. So basically, we're going to know everything that you do and what you buy and what you didn't do. And oh, by the way, we can still block you from Facebook or Libra or whatever you want to call it. And we have backdoors. It's definitely there's this image behind me for a reason. That I think this overall will eventually be good for Bitcoin. It will definitely create a lot of we're going to see a ton of adoption because of this, because everyone knows Facebook, and everyone that thought crypto was a scam might be like, I don't think it's a scam so much anymore, because why would Facebook do with their own coin? And why is Google linking up with Chainlink, which was also a big piece of news? And what's all this mean, and what is this going to do for the space? I think that Libra is going to do good stuff for the space, but I don't know how good this is actually for crypto. And as AA says, and Antonopoulos says, I don't know if this is actually really a cryptocurrency as well. So lots of stuff to kind of unhatch. I'll let you guys feel your take on that, but that's kind of a synopsis that I have at this point.
My concerns is that it's Facebook doing this, and at least with how Facebook currently is, I'm somebody who actually often finds trouble on Facebook somehow. I was actually in Facebook jail for 24 hours. That ended yesterday for nothing. I actually shared an article about how parents are being a lot more distracted at the pool, and kids are drowning as a result of parents not paying attention. So it was a USA Today article, and somebody flagged it had over 3,000 shares. It was going viral, and somebody reported it as sexual content. which it wasn't. And I understand that Facebook might not be looking at everything, but I disputed it. And Facebook looked at it and agreed, said, oh, you were right. We got this wrong. And they put my article back up, but they left me in Facebook jail for the entire 24 hours. So I was angry and I had no recourse. There's nobody I could contact. And so I'm looking at how they're running their current business. And now they want to get into, a cryptocurrency. And what's to say that they can't do that kind of stuff? Hey, we don't like what you've done. I don't know. I'm so irritated with how they're operating their business that it just makes me not trust them getting involved in this space. I don't blame them, so there's a part of me that is looking at it, well, it's going to bring more attention to the cryptocurrency space. So that's a plus. But all the people that are getting involved, it kind of goes against what, the rest of us that have been involved with cryptocurrency for quite a few years have been excited about, in this space. So I've got mixed feelings. I'll just say that.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree about the mixed feelings thing. But, there was that scandal that came out with the information about Facebook selling our data, and people still use Facebook. So it didn't really seem to affect the usage and affect their user base. So it seemed, I have a really good feeling that their digital currency is going to be successful. And I call it a digital currency because, like Joel was saying, I don't think that this is a cryptocurrency. I don't think what they're using is really a blockchain. It's similar in nature to a blockchain, but they're just using these buzzwords to kind of capitalize on what Bitcoin and these other decentralized currencies have gained. They're using these words nodes, which to me are basically another word for them talking about servers. This is basically a giant processing system, where some processing systems might run 8 to 10 servers with their company. This is like 100 servers. I don't look at this as being really nodes that work on a real blockchain, which I think their blockchain, they're calling it Libra. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, but I just don't think that this is really a blockchain, nor is it a cryptocurrency, just in my opinion. And from the technical side that I can see, and from looking at some recent tweets from like Andreas Antonopoulos, this is like the general consensus that I'm gathering from most of the crypto community is that this is just basically a poser trying to pose as what a cryptocurrency would be. And some people were comparing it to EOS, but EOS is technically a cryptocurrency, so I wouldn't even try to compare it to EOS.
Well, another thing that like a lot of people are missing out is, okay, before I talk about that with what Rob's talking about, I've also been put on Facebook jail for things like I shared to my own groups. Like I have several groups and pages, some stuff about crypto that has been going on. And I guess maybe I shared it to like 10 of my own groups or something. And then they flagged it and they said I was spamming. And I'm like, how do you spam your own groups like you're administrator of? So that
I'm
was
in
the
jail
first,
right now too.
Yeah. And here's another crazy thing though. I had someone who was slandering, defaming like my name on like all social media on Facebook. Like every single page there was stuff about me that was completely untrue. I kept flagging and reporting it, and they kept saying it doesn't violate their community standards. So basically they're saying if you share too much, you're a spammer even if it's your own groups. But if someone slanders and defames your name and you keep messaging Facebook to say like, hey, can you like delete this person or like stop them from doing this, they won't help you. So really that's another thing to take in consideration. Like they kind of do whatever the flip they want. And I don't even know if they actually have people looking over this stuff or just bots or whatever it is, but it's messed up. On a completely
they don't have customer service worth shit. So I mean
they don't give a shit about their customers. We all know that. They just care about how much money they can make, really. And that's what it is. But here's the really, really big thing that I find is really interesting. So cryptocurrencies were made so that anyone could go buy a computer at the very start of Bitcoin, right? And you could mine Bitcoins or buy an ASIC miner and mine a little bit of Bitcoin. And everyone can kind of afford that. Then you go into Facebook and this Libra coin. And here's the thing I have a problem with. You have to have $10 million to even become a node. And let's look at some of the lists of people that have nodes
sick.
right now. Here's some of the people on this list. And it's kind of shocking that no one's really pulled this up. So I'm actually going to share my screen and show that list right now to kind of give like a really good idea of what that looks like. So here's some of their investors. Anderson Horowitz, we see, yeah, there we go. Boom. Same there. So if you guys can see my screen right now, what you see is, sure, there's some good people in there like Coinbase. You know, Coinbase are kind of the good side. But then you got like Facebook, you got eBay, you have Mercado Libre, we have Uber and Lyft, we have PayU, Stripe, PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard, all who can block your payments generally. And PayPal does it, and Stripe does it a lot, even if you're not doing something wrong. And then weirdly, they have Spotify on there, which is kind of odd. But you know, the thing is, all these are massive, massive corporations. They're not regular people that can just go out and do anything. Like Vodafone is huge. So how is that really decentralized when you're basically saying, hey, you're really rich, we're going to put you guys, we're going to call it decentralized? It's all bullshit, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just those buzzwords, man. It's using,
Yeah.
it's the words that right now are big because Bitcoin has created something, and people are trying to steal and take away from what Bitcoin has created.
Absolutely. And it's like trying to like copy this carbon copy of like, oh, well, we can do it better. Now, will Facebook do some stuff better? Probably. They probably will. And it's because people, and I've said this over and over again, they don't give a shit about their own privacy. And like we talked about last week, like Rob was saying last week, he said, what did he say? He said, well, people just, you know, they don't care until it comes to a point where it's too late. And then they need their privacy, but they can't have it back. And they'll just keep taking and taking and taking and taking until you have none left. And you're sitting in China and you're scared to go out of your house because if you do the wrong thing or you burp or fart or you eat McDonald's, now you're all of a sudden this your credit score goes down. And it's kind of a scary thought, but it's actually happening already over there. So I'll let you guys take it away and what you guys think about this whole Facebook, that whole idea of Facebook. And
to wrap up what you just said, I do believe the market will reach a point to where there's going to be people that are going to value their privacy, and there's going to be a way to where companies could still market to us if we allow it. But in fact, it was Apple that just announced their new operating system, and they have some encrypted email, so that if you're opted into solicitation for them to email you, it's not your personal email that they have; it's some temporary, basically private email that you could turn on and off at any time, which I thought was, that was a pretty cool innovation for Apple to be adding. But I see more things like that becoming a popular trend, and then where we're going to be rewarded. For example, if Facebook doesn't do this with their Libra coin, some other company's going to do this and be successful, where we're on a social network site, we're providing a lot of valuable content, and we'll be paid in a cryptocurrency or some form of token based off the value and there's some sites that actually do it, but nothing that's really gone quite mainstream, I should say. So Facebook could turn this into something big that would operate like that. I don't know that they will. And now I want to ask this Libra coin, it's what, I guess the point is for it to be a stable coin. Is that right, guys?
Yeah. Now, what I've gathered is it's basically like a fractional reserve banking system that we're pretty much used to. It's a payment platform. It's going to be similar to PayPal, Stripe, and Square. It's basically a glorified digital fiat currency stable coin because it's got that basket of commodities and currencies it's supposed to be backed by. We don't know all the details yet of what that basket's going to involve or entail, but like I said, it reminded me of the SDR. It's not something that I see appreciating in value because it's supposed to be based on being more stable. I guess the only value would be the inflation of the fiat currency in the country you're from and how that converts over to Libra. But I do see it as helping out to bring more education to Bitcoin. And I do see this also being very successful because Mark Zuckerberg said, while some cryptocurrency projects have aimed to disrupt the existing systems and bypass regulations, the firm believes in collaborating and innovating with the financial sector, including regulators and experts. Now, before we get into talking about the U.S. government, other governments' concerns with Libra, I do see this project as being successful because it is kind of being like the Trojan horse. It's kind of being like the qualities of Bitcoin, but conforming to our current system and current financial model, which is what the current financial system and model would be more inviting and accepting of, in my opinion.
So I just find the timing, though, a bit inconvenient for Facebook, because aren't they facing like a $5 billion fine for, I guess, for breaching our private information? And that's what I've heard, that they're facing up to a $5 billion fine. And so Facebook is. So the question is, I mean, do we really trust them? I mean, can we trust this company? I guess we're still using it regardless if we feel we can trust them or not, you know. And that's what I was saying last week is I hate to be a hypocrite. I still use Facebook. But anyway, so I've got mixed feelings on it. I could see some positive, though, in third world countries where, you know, their currency is volatile. There's bad inflation. Now they've got another option to where maybe this Libra coin could actually be a big deal in other parts of the world. And in fact, I was listening to something earlier that was saying exactly that, you know, and maybe in Europe and North America, you know, places like at least where Chris and I live, it might not be that popular or that big of a deal as where in other countries, maybe even where you live, Joel, in Thailand, this could be very useful in other places. So,
yeah,
you know, they got the whole world in their hands. So
it could definitely bank the unbanked, which is what I think the strength of a lot of different cryptocurrencies have. And I mention that a lot because we're here in the United States, we're really spoiled having our banking systems and having somebody do everything for us. We're not used to banking ourselves. We're not used to not even being able to have access to a bank. So I think this will definitely be successful. But the only problem is the country's governments, because some of the countries who are in economic turmoil may not be allowing or inviting of this at all. Like from what I understand right now, I don't think India would accept their citizens using it, even though there is some things happening in India regarding cryptocurrencies. From what I have heard so far is it wouldn't be available in India. And that's a country that could definitely benefit from it.
and I heard Russia as well isn't considering it legal at this. Well, it's not even out yet, but
Being allowed.
Exactly. It doesn't sound like it's going to be allowed in Russia. So it'll be interesting to see how this rolls out worldwide and what countries are going to accept it and what countries aren't.
Joel, will you share that article with Maxine Walters?
Yeah, right here.
Because I think, that's kind of a good leeway into this because,
Of course,
you know, right now we haven't mentioned the latest development after Facebook white paper came out, and that is now you've got representative from the United States government and you got representatives in France and other countries who are now voicing their concerns, telling Facebook that they want them to halt the project. They want more information, more clarification, and they are going to require individuals to testify before Congress. Because Maxine Walters, I had to give the lady props, man, because she did say that basically with the scandal that we have had in the past with our data being sold, that Facebook does not really care about our privacy, and she does not want to just see this thing take place without some sort of clarification and testifying before Congress, which I think is great. Even though I'm an anarchist, voluntarist, not pro-government, I do like what she's doing.
Yeah, and she's saying like basically they have all this troubled past. They sell our data. They're disregarding. She says repeatedly showing disregard for protection and careful use of the data that they actually have. There's a lot of stuff that they, have bots, which I'm sure at least half the accounts on there are bots because no one's really that active anymore. And so there's also that aspect of like, do these bots and fake accounts, structure how we think about things? Because, if you see something, and this is a marketing ploy, when you see something the first time, it doesn't really affect you. When you see it the second time, it doesn't affect you. But when you see a shitcoin ICO on Facebook in 2017 and you saw it 40 times in the last 3 days, it starts making you think like, whoa, this thing might actually be pretty cool. It's really good because your brain works like that. That's how marketers think, right? And so the whole idea here is that, it's interesting to know what Facebook's actually going to do, and they're kind of skeptical about what's going on now in terms of banking the unbanked, for sure. But so could XRP, so could several other cryptocurrencies out there, whether you believe they're cryptos or not. It doesn't matter. The point is, there's other options already available for people. Some people say XRP is not, but in Thailand, we actually in the banking system use XRP already. It's actually used, not Ripple, XRP. And so do they in Japan, and it's probably going to expand. So as much as people don't like that cryptocurrency or whatever, if you don't believe it's cryptocurrency, whatever it is, digital currency, then, there are other options already there. Facebook, just everyone knows it.
Yeah, that's the advantage they have, and they took advantage of that. But I agree with the government when they say it. It says it right there. Facebook is already too big and too powerful. And there's been a lot of things in the past where they've prevented big conglomerates from purchasing different companies because they didn't want any individual company or conglomerate to have that many hands in our personal lives, which that would definitely make Facebook bigger and more powerful because of their reach and the people that they're partnered with. Because obviously with people like Visa and MasterCard getting involved in this, they see this as a threat. And what better way than to get involved than just fade away. So they're trying to stay very relevant. I mean, MasterCard's a big investor in a digital currency group. So these payment processing companies know that what they have done in the past is coming to an end and times are changing.
Yeah.
And they're trying to be smart. So I mean, I can't say anything negative about those companies partnering up with Facebook because this is going to be a successful project. But ultimately, just kind of like Ripple, there is no supply to this, like no cap. So they can have however many Libra coin as they want to put out. So I mean that's another thing. But I think most importantly, the more bigger and more powerful Facebook becomes, the more evil people I think are going to start to see them for.
Yep.
And then it will start leading to what we were talking about before, bringing people to the awareness of the power of decentralization versus centralization.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to see the bad sides of centralization when something like Libra is successful.
Yeah, I mean, here's another aspect to also think. Joseph Lubin, who's from Ethereum, a co-founder, he also has a problem. CZ has a problem. AA, Andreas Antonopoulos has a problem. Why do they all have a problem? Why do they all think it's not a cryptocurrency? Why do they all see this as a potential, more of a potential risk? They're not saying like, it's going to destroy cryptocurrency. Some people are like, oh, Facebook's going to ruin Bitcoin. Absolutely not. The picture behind me shows it. It's going to reel in the market. It's going to reel in all these retail investors thinking, yeah, Libra, but really on the inside, it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the one that's going to win from all this stuff. And
people will start learning how to use wallets. They'll understand that that's going to be half the battle.
And
so once
hopefully,
you comfortable with a wallet.
Go ahead. Sorry.
What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying last week. I think the positive thing is this is going to bring a lot more awareness to cryptocurrency. It's going to validate it. In fact, in the past week, I've had messages from people who haven't talked to in months that are, hey, tell me about this Facebook coin, and they're finally starting to get the bigger picture of what people like myself and you guys, what we've all been saying for the last few years. because I mean, I'm sure you guys have people in your lives that, you know, don't quite understand Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. They think it's just a fad. In fact, I had some people last year, you know, almost get a little too cocky thinking, yeah, I told you so when Bitcoin took a huge dump, but then now here it is back at $9,000 again. And now they're messaging me, oh, is this the time to get in? And so it's funny, but it's finally starting to click, because now that Facebook is launching a cryptocurrency, it's hard to ignore that this is a developing market. And then my question would be, so I see Facebook is doing this. You know, I wonder who else is working on something like this behind the scenes. Is Google going to come out with one next? You know, is Tesla, you know, I mean, how many of these large companies are going to try and attempt to take a big part of this market share? And, you know, I think there's room for all of them, but I think it's going to come down to education, and it'll be, you know, on people like us to at least help educate that, you know, exactly what Facebook's coin is versus what Bitcoin, Litecoin, and all the other cryptocurrencies are. In terms of a stable coin, you know, there's a part of me that is interested in that. You know, I haven't decided whether I would use it or not. I think right now, if my only options are Tether or Libra in a year from now, whenever it's out, in terms of a stable coin, of course I could use the dollar, but if I want to maybe, if it's simple, if it's there, I might consider using it. That's the only advantage at the moment that I see. Otherwise, you know, we could use any of the other cryptocurrencies to, you know, do transactions with. I'm just trying to figure out, other than convenience within the Facebook ecosystem, why Libra? Why not something else? I mean, there's going to be.
Yeah, the weird thing was I saw something today about the, and I'm trying to think of the guy's name. I can't remember the current Fed chair's name. Do you know his name, Rob?
Oh, Paul, isn't it? I'm trying to think of his last name.
Anyways, they had a hearing today because they were talking about their interest rates, which they ended up not changing anything about their interest rates.
I think next month.
Apparently every month they do a meeting, and yeah, the talk is next month. But somebody had asked them directly about the question about cryptocurrencies and Facebook's Libra coin. And it was, he had mentioned that he didn't see cryptocurrencies as being close to being any sort of threat to the fiat money system or Federal Reserve system, that it was in its infancy stage, but thought that the projects like Facebook could actually do something that was beneficial. And they did. The odd thing that I thought was kind of weird that he mentioned was that they had actually had meetings with people at the Federal Reserve, the people at Facebook, Libra or Calibra or whatever they call it. And I mean, I knew that they had had meetings with the IMF and United Nations and things to that effect, but I don't think that they had any other U.S. government interactions aside from central banking type related situations, which is the reason why I now think Congress is stepping up and now saying something.
Yeah, well, at least publicly, that's what they're saying. I actually think there's got to be behind the scenes something going on that we're just not being told yet. I believe, if you ask me, I think the Federal Reserve System, after the crash of 2008, you know, they basically just kicked the can down the road. But I think we're on the verge of seeing a major transition worldwide, but, you know, especially with the US dollar, that they got to do something. And I believe cryptocurrency or, you know, the blockchain is going to have some element with whatever is going to happen. But I think in terms of the dollar, you know, 2 years from now, I think we could see a big change.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to dive too much into that. You could see some of the other videos and things I've posted, but I think that the Federal Reserve has some major issues ahead, and we're just really close to that being public.
Do you see this right here? They're punt the idea of a Fed coin. So I mean, they are thinking about it for sure. There's there's a lot of people around the world, from France, from England. They have the G7 countries are all questioning Facebook. Like, is this a good idea? If they do it, it should be extremely high standard. And you know, the real thing with Facebook coin is like trust, and the whole idea we have to trust someone again, because really we do still have to trust these huge organizations. And
If it's a centralized project, yes, we do have to trust it.
yeah, we have to trust someone. And, you know, this is why Bitcoin will have a lot of a brighter future from this whole situation. And also, there's been rumors that I've heard about that actually really is an interesting side is with Facebook, with the Libra, what's really interesting that I've read about, and it might just be rumors, but it's something to keep in mind. They also have said that they're going to have a basket of currencies, one of which is Bitcoin. And about 5 others: Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, US dollar, Singapore dollar, UK GBP, and I think one other. And they're gonna let you choose what you peg, what you peg to. So you could peg to Bitcoin, to US dollar, to Japanese yen. That would be really interesting. It's not confirmed or anything like that, but it was shared with me in a specialized group that I'm in that has like some pretty high level crypto influencers and, you know, and some big investors as well. And they were saying like this is very likely to happen. And they said they had a source, but they can't tell us who. So I don't know, like this, I'm not trying to do what, you know, what some people do and give predictions, but if this is true, that would be very bullish for Bitcoin, for sure, because people will be able to peg to any currency, but also to Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin starts to take off, they can actually make money from pegging their dollar to Bitcoin instead of pegging a dollar to a yen or a dollar to a dollar or Canadian dollar or UK GBP. So that's something also really interesting to think about. Just gonna throw this up here. That's for a little laugh. Hello, I'm Mark.
We might get sued.
Yeah, he might be soon. You know,
We might get sued.
I'll just throw up one other one as well.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah, it's sad though. Like,
but you know, it is quite it's humorous, but also it feels kind of true. It's kind of funny. It was the Dobson's improbable quote of the day. So yeah, moving on. I guess we can put the Facebook stuff to bed for now because that was a good little chat overall. And let's talk about the other side of things with what's going on with Binance. Obviously, yes. I think we did talk about a little bit about that as well last week. But, you know, a lot of things have come out since last week that are really interesting. Binance US, Binance.com banning US citizens. All of a sudden, yesterday, we have Bancorp banning US citizens. We have IDEX saying they're going to start doing full KYC, a DEX doing full KYC. What do you guys actually happening in the US right now that's causing this type of commotion all of a sudden? Do you think that people are just trying to do the right thing? Sure. Or do you really think that the US government has actually been like, hey guys, you want to go to jail? We're going to come after you. Hey guys, yeah, we like putting people in jail for trying to screw with our system. And then these guys are like, oh shit, and we have to actually do something right now and right away. And now we're seeing this kind of spew out to other places and other exchanges, especially DEXs. Which is
I would have to say that I think at this point the American government has flexed its muscles a little bit behind the scenes. There's just a lot of uncertainty as far as what the regulations are going to entail. And from what I can gather from the information that I'm getting is people aren't thinking that the regulations are going to be real easy, that they're going to be pretty strenuous. So you're seeing a lot of changes. I mean, I really didn't think Binance would have closed up their operation to US. That really surprised me and kind of disappointed me. I'm looking forward to seeing how the DEX works. I need to look into that a little bit more. But that kind of disappointed me. Bittrex is another one. They've said that they're going to be delisting certain cryptocurrencies, and it's because of how these cryptocurrencies would be defined legally as to, I guess, whether or not they're securities and whether or not they should have these certain offerings on their exchange. So they're going to be delisting a bunch of tokens. it's just uncertainty. I think right now the American government knows what's happening economically and is trying to do everything they can to keep everything together. So anything that's going to be a threat to the system, they're going to try to make a little bit difficult for us. So I don't see a lot of the regulation that comes into place as being super positive. The only thing I can see positive is the fact that the IRS is technically supposed to be working on some clarification on how they're going to be taxing cryptocurrencies, which should make it a little bit easier for the everyday person as opposed to the way that it technically is going now. But other than that, I think our government's going to try to screw us as much as possible. And that's why you're seeing companies, people who live in the United States, but they base their business outside the United States because of regulatory reasons. It's happening more and more. America's just becoming this crazy monster bad guy, in my opinion.
I will say it is kind of a weird feeling to live here in America, where it's the land of the free, and feel like we've got no freedom when it comes to cryptocurrency. Out of the whole world, we've got the tightest, in terms of regulation and what we can do. But with that being said, overall, I'm not surprised that this is happening. And I guess the only way to look at it from a positive side is, we all should have known that this was going to come. It's now finally coming. And this is just a sign that this market is starting to reach its maturity stage.
Mm-hmm.
How long is that going to take? Who knows? But, the internet went through that. And in some ways it's still going through that. But in the very beginning, you look at Napster, the wild, wild west of the internet, where people just freely downloading and sharing music all over the place, or YouTube, where, people would be uploading copyrighted content, South Park or whatever it is. And it took a while before it started to reach a point to where, now you upload something copyrighted on Facebook or YouTube, it's flagged almost instantly, and then it's taken down. So the internet has matured. So with cryptocurrency, that's what I see happening right now. And on the other side of this is a whole brand new market. For example, the security token offerings, the STO market, that's right around the corner. And a lot of the big money, we're talking trillions of dollars, that are just waiting on the outside to enter into the space. They're waiting for all these regulations and everything to fall into place. They're waiting for the IRS to come out and say, how they're going to tax things. They're waiting for all of that to be as clear as day. And then we're going to see this market, this cryptocurrency market, grow to proportion, in the trillions and trillions of dollars, like we just can't even imagine. So there's light at the end of this tunnel, and this is just the process, but we're finally right at that beginning of that maturity stage for the crypto market. And it involves regulation, which is not a fun topic, but we knew it was going to come.
Yeah, it's just it's going to make things really tough for people to be able to capitalize without everything you do being known. So, that's the thing. These exchanges are all going to report to the IRS, and all your information is going to be shared and given. There's not going to be any way of getting around any of the corners and things like that, unfortunately, unless we can find successful decentralized exchanges. These DEXs need to come about.
I made a video about a year and a half ago, which it's got about 40,000 views. And it's about the IRS, and they have a tool called Chainalysis, which they can track. If you sell your Bitcoin, that tool can go back and track the movement of that coin. And they've got a pretty good idea of what people are doing, and at some point they're going to catch people who are trying to hide their earnings in cryptocurrency. It might not be this year, might not be next year, but 3, 4, 5 years down the road, they're going to be able to go back and figure out, hey, you made all this money in 2019 and you didn't report it. So living in the United States, I think, you're almost better off just assuming that anything you do in cryptocurrency, someone's going to see sooner or later, and just do your best to report it correctly. I would try not to pretend like they don't have a way to figure it out, especially if you're using Coinbase or BitPay or any exchange to convert it back into dollars that has KYC. As soon as your coin touches something that has KYC with your name on it, all those movements that you've done with that coin will be made visible.
Everything's recorded.
It's all, yeah. That's the beauty of the blockchain, is that it is transparent. That's a positive and a negative, unless you're using Monero or some of these privacy coins.
Yeah, that's the only difference. Yeah,
that's the only difference. But you're not using Monero to cash out on Coinbase or BitPay. So
no.
Now, trade on Binance, which
Monero is for pirates, and pirates don't use Coinbase.
And if you're trading on any exchange, you know, they can get that information. There's a trail. So just don't be naive and think that you're somehow going to avoid getting caught.
No, I agree. So yeah, I mean, I always encourage people to do things the right way and do things the way that they're told to do. So don't follow my example. But
I'm with you. I mean, I know, you know, a bit of an anarchist. I would love to, if we didn't live in America, we'd have more freedom. And that's what pains me, because that's the reality.
I can chime in on this though, because there are other options, even if you do live in America, to be able to participate in any of this stuff. And all you need to do is get an e-citizenship to a different country. And it's actually really easy. You could do an Estonia e-citizenship, get your citizenship, and then register on Binance as an Estonian citizen, and they will not ban you. The only thing you'd have to do is use a VPN, because they would see you're in the US, and that would apply even for me going to the US, and I'm not even from the US, so it wouldn't matter. It's just the IPs that they've been looking at. And even CZ said it. He's like, you can use he basically said, like, you can basically use our DEX. We don't give a shit, but you can't use the US IP. So, you know, there are going to be ways around this, and it's like anything. I mean, they tried to stop us from getting free music. We got free music. They tried to stop us from getting free videos. We get free videos. They tried to stop us from getting free TV shows. We get free TV shows. And every time they try to stop us from doing something, we always find a way. And I mean, yes, crypto makes it a little bit harder, but there's always going to be someone who figures out some other way to get beyond these types of stupid regulations. And they're really dumb, completely honest. Like, why your neighbor to the north, Canada, can do all this other stuff that you can't. For what reason? Just because the U.S. want to control the whole world, which they basically have done since the whole entire World War II ended, basically. And I mean, you know, China's and Russia have been pushing back and like getting off the U.S. peg for oil, and so there's stuff that's been happening for sure. But you know, back to kind of bring it back in, Binance coin, everyone thought it was going to go down. It's going to go. The Binance exchange is going to be shit. And I had this conversation with Crypto Lark on Twitter yesterday, or 2 days ago now, and I was telling him, like, dude, like, what's wrong with this? This doesn't matter. Everyone's going to find the way. He's like, yeah, but they don't need to use Binance. They can use KuCoin. And I was like, oh, really? Next day comes out. I'm like, and I posted this to him. I'm like, so, yeah, what about that KuCoin, dude? He was like, oh. You know, I was like, what are you going to say to that? But the whole thing is, there's also BitMax that holds BNB. You have the new Chinese, the Indian exchange that will change rupees for BNB. I don't think BNB is in trouble at all. I don't think Binance is in trouble. Honestly, this is super bullish long term for Binance.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing this for the regulatory reason. And I know that they said they're going to be launching a US Binance as well, but I know I did see that BNB is not going to be available in the US Binance, so there must be something to do with the way that BNB is going to be recognized by.
They're going to restructure. CZ said this in his AMA, I think it was yesterday morning, my time, your evening. He said that we have to restructure some of the stuff that we do because their token burn, they're going to just make it so that it's not like a security, because the way they've been doing their token burns is kind of like security. So they're actually working with the regulators, obviously, if they have Binance US opening. And I mean, this is actually going to be super bullish for the US long term, because it will probably defeat the purpose of shit coins, which is a good thing. We don't need 2,000 coins that are crap. We need like 1,000. I'd rather see 5 coins that are really good and actually have use case than see 2,000 shit ones. So I don't think that all the coins are crap, and I'm not a complete Bitcoin maximalist or anything like that. But I do think there are a ton of projects, even when some of them, even though I love CZ and I like Binance, there's some on Binance that really don't really need to be there. They're not really great projects, but they're there. And, it's probably hard for them to just go and delist a ton of projects. So the US one will just legitimize all the good projects. And because of the amount of money that US has compared to a lot of the other countries out there, other than China, basically, and Russia, that will be very bullish for those projects, whether it be Litecoin, Bitcoin, XRP, or whatever else. Those projects are going to do really well. I mean, Link probably will do extremely well because it's got Google backing it. And so there's going to be good and bad, but I think it's going to be mostly good. Short-term bad, people will be upset. You guys probably feel like, what the flip? And I understand that. But in like a year from now, when everything kind of is set up nicely, it might be like, holy crap, now Bitcoin's 27, 28, 29, 50K.
Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the whole KYC regulation thing, man. I'm just
but the stuff that does suck is this. This sucks. Now you got a decentralized exchange, which, I mean, just read it. They're doing full KYC. How can you be decentralized and have a centralized KYC system I want you guys to talk about this first. Go ahead. What do you think about this? This is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what's the thing on that one. So I can't use Exodus without having a VPN that says I'm in Canada.
Yeah.
Because of you being in Washington State?
In Washington State, yes. So, and that's the part of me where, I'm like, damn it, I'm an American. I love freedom, and I don't feel like we're free.
No.
I don't like to have some third party basically tell me what I can and can't do with my own money. And that's this right here is just, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
It defeats the whole idea of just having a decentralized exchange.
Well, it's not a decentralized exchange if they're going to require full KYC. So I mean, like how are they referring to it as a decentralized exchange if they're requiring KYC? Because the decentralized exchange in definition would not require KYC. So how are they still calling it a decentralized exchange if they're going to require KYC? I don't mean to repeat myself. It's just.
But and this would be the solution to the centralized exchanges that require it. Well, then there's a decentralized option. But I get why they're pushing it. I mean, they just want to know what we're doing. They want to be like Facebook and spy on every.
They want to get paid. They don't want us to make any money without them getting what's due to them.
Without them knowing. Because, yeah, exactly. We're debt slaves. And
the fact that exactly. We've talked about this on the first episode we did.
Yes.
So maybe next time, Joel, we could talk a little bit about some basic kind of news stuff, depending on if there's anything really big that happens. But when the economic stuff, especially getting a point of view from what's going on in Asia, I would love to be able to expand a little bit more on that because.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, one of my friends is actually, they call the team Avengers team. It's the Blockchain Council for Thailand. And I have one of my friends is in the political party. Name's Prin Kachin. I never say his last name right. It's really hard to type. But his name is Prin. And my other buddy Sanjay, they're both on that. And they were like, Joel, learn Thai so you can join us. And I was like, yeah, I'll get on that. But they're really pro crypto and blockchain. Prin's dad was the former finance minister of Thailand. He's really high up there, and he always is a big proponent of blockchain. So there's a lot of good stuff happening in Asia for sure. And there are a lot less in Asia. There is we do want to know what you're doing, and Big Brother's there, but it's a lot more lax, especially in Thailand compared to other countries. But I don't think that'll last a long time. Completely honest, I think they're going to do it. They're going to follow kind of what China's doing a little bit more. Maybe not a social credit system because people here really do like their freedom, but maybe something along the lines of tracking transactions and things like that. They already started doing that with the centralized exchanges here. And I don't think they really understand it well enough, honestly, the decentralized side to even get really deep into it yet. But I think that will also come. With this whole IDEX thing, though, it's a shame. They talk about decentralization being on a spectrum, and that you still need centralized parts. And going to Laura Shin's most recent podcast, I don't know if you guys listen to Unchained at all, but she had people on there and she was doing a panel with a bunch of Bitcoin maximalists. And they were saying yeah, what are they going to use? They're going to use the fact that we have to keep you safe. And because we want to make you safe and not get you scammed and not have anything horrible happen and kids get molested and all, we're going to make it centralized so we know exactly what you're doing. And we're going to take away all your freedom. And it's exactly what they're saying right here. You start looking and they go, they retain control of their funds, mitigating the likelihood of theft and blah, 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 your identity being stolen, blah, blah, blah. What's the point of this all? They're just trying to take away our actual privacy. They're trying to take away our own freedom. And
when are we going to reverse this? I want to know what the heck our government is doing, where our money is going, what they're spending it on. You know, let's flip the script. If they want transparency from us, it needs to go both ways. But
it's shapeshift. It's IDEX, and now look at the U.S. citizens. Bancor also yesterday got told, they're told you, oh, sorry guys, you guys can't be on our DEX now either. And it's like, what are the U.S. like? I want to know more. Honestly, the thing that I want to know most is what in the F are these people saying to these exchanges? What are they saying to them? Why are they so freaking scared? And you know,
our government
is saying we're going to Hillary Clinton you and cut off your head off, like you're going to kill you and make it a big scandal, like you just died somehow randomly, or like, you know, there's what's going on here.
There's a book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Yeah.
And it's they go into third world countries and they pay off the politicians, and there's a whole system to it. Now in this case, I'm sure there's a way they can put the fear of God into them, and obviously somebody's doing something, because it's like one after another. They're all getting on board with KYC and
there it is, Rob.
Make it bigger there.
Oh yeah, you got it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Yeah. It's probably something just like that.
How much time are we looking at?
We've got about 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess was there anything you guys want to talk about before we wrap it up, like about the Binance stuff or the exchanges and the regulation?
We can just wrap it up. Yeah.
As far as Binance, I have people that are confused and, you know, they're panicking, and I told them, if you're not trading right now, that just whatever you have on there, take it off. You shouldn't be storing any cryptocurrency on any exchange unless you're trading it to begin with. And outside of that, you know, okay, where do you trade? The answer to that is what I look for. If I want to buy a certain coin, just go to coinmarketcap.com, find the coin that you want to purchase. And then on that page on CoinMarketCap, when you click on that coin, there's a tab that says markets. Click on that. You're going to see the top exchanges with the most volume, and whatever exchanges are available to us, you know, here in America or in Thailand or wherever you are in the world, then sign up with that exchange and use that to make that trade. But then as soon as you can, take that coin off of there and put it in a wallet that you own and control. So it's not the end of the world that Binance is going through this. In fact, just as I said earlier, I think it's just part of the maturity of this market. And yes, we're going to hate that we've got, you know, big government coming in and slapping on all these regulations and wanting to know everything that we do. But we shouldn't be surprised. You know, was to be expected.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, yeah, so I want to encourage everybody to definitely make sure you guys are checking out our individual YouTube channels and our other social medias. We're going to have links down below. If there's any subjects or project or cryptocurrencies or something that you would like to hear us talk about, please comment down below. You can email us directly, hit us up on our social medias. We definitely want to hear what you guys think. Comment. The more you guys comment, like, and share and subscribe to our channels helps our information get out to other people, because it seems like the YouTube algorithms kind of work against content creators like ourselves. So as much activity as we can have on this video and our individual videos will definitely help us all out to be able to get our message out to people. And like I said, we'll have links down below for everything that we talked about in today's episode, and for our social media. So I guess, Joel, you want to say some closing words, then Rob, and then I'll wrap us up.
For sure. Yeah. So thanks again for everyone watching. If you guys want to, you know, see anything that I'm doing in my personal projects, do go to my YouTube page, click on the subscribe, smash up some likes. Same for this video. Subscribe, smash up some likes. Do that for, you know, all three of us. Do it for the community. Do it for the information. We do this out of our own time, our own time we're spending doing this for you guys, not for ourselves. I mean, spending an hour and a half, you know, and then an hour before getting all this stuff ready, then having a couple hours before you guys will actually see this video is time consuming. So we do that because we want to get that information out and the perspectives out for other people to actually understand and learn. And yeah, so do that. I actually am going to be doing a competition for UND unification. It's on Binance DEX right now, and we're trying to see if we can get it. Myself and a couple of my friends and a couple people, we're giving away some ETH to people to turn into BNB to see if we can get some more volume on the exchange, you know, in terms of the trading, because there's CZ did say that if we get $50,000, we could have a chance. And because I'm a huge believer in the project, I'm personally giving away people some, and it also, what's really cool part of it is you'll actually learn how to use the DEX. And so you will get comfortable using a decentralized exchange. And if you're from the US, you're probably gonna have to use an IP, unfortunately, but just leave you with that. And also, if you want to check out my trading system, go to athenaproject.trade. That'll also be in the description. Thanks, guys.
Yep. And I just want to say, if there's anything you guys want us to talk about next week or on any of these videos, because we're going to do this weekly, that's the plan, just let us know in the comments. And if you like what we're producing, please like it and share it. And yeah, that's it. I'll pass it on to Chris.
Cool. In case you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'm doing a contest right now. The deadline or the contest is going to wrap up 5 p.m. July the 6th, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've got 5 different prizes. It's like a crypto swag giveaway, and the first prize is going to be a Stealth Ledger Nano S that I'm giving away. You got to be subscribed to my channel, and there's other ways you can enter. But if you check out my YouTube channel, there's a video talking specifically about the contest giveaway that I'm doing, so that way you can enter and find out what the other prizes are as well. So again, check us out on our own individual social medias. Give that thumbs up. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Hope you learned something. And as always, I encourage you to be the change by practicing change. Much love.